Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 38091 Sunset Street here in Sandy, located on the right side of the house as you face this building from the street. So right side of the home. We're just outside kind of the bathroom area. You get big old 4-inch ABS clean out sitting here. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We are zeroed out, and off we go. From the looks of it, this thing looks like it is very newly installed. It hardly has any signs of life in it. It's so clean. It looks like it's hardly been used. Line switching over to 4-inch 3034 PVC pipe there. That joint there is just slightly offset. It's a little bit of a horizontal offset, about 1/4 of an inch. We'll take a second look at that, but that is not the kind of stuff I'm generally aiming for to do repairs on. Line's transitioning here now to concrete pipe, also 4-inch diameter. Got a little bit of standing water right as you go through the transition joint, but it's very, very minor. Superbly clean sewer line. Even the older pipe is super clean. It's pretty cool to see that. Plus side is this does not, have a lot of the same stuff the average home has. At least as far as I can tell, it doesn't. Kitchen, for instance, that would put in grease and stuff like that down the line. So this concrete pipe here, this joint in particular has some pretty obvious staining. There's a couple joints though in this concrete that I've seen so far that look like the joints are compromised. As far as flow goes, flow is not being affected by them, but there's some other issues that can result from having open pipe joints. It can cause progressive settling as time goes on. Due to hydro erosion, the joints can start sucking dirt through them, eroding support out from underneath the line, as well as the ground above the sewer line. There's some other issues aside from just the sewer that can be affected by that. But anyway, we'll revisit that here in just a second once the line's fully drained out. But that joint there is kind of suspect. In fact, right now you've got water droplets that look like they're dripping from overhead. But being as the line here has such good slope and grade, this is one that I would, unless there was no other way to do it, I'd be shooting an epoxy liner through this thing trenchlessly and calling it a day and avoid digging altogether. The line right now has fabulous flow all the way to the main, so digging this thing up makes zero sense and is overkill in my opinion, unless there's no other option. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull the camera back to the top of this drop to try and locate it. Just based on the orientation of the line here, I think this is going to be a tricky line to do, for at least for my equipment anyway, to do a locate, but I'll try. Alrighty, located the camera head out of the Sunset Street. The line here runs pretty darn straight from the clean out to the main lateral. And it's hard to get a good locate on that spot there because of the hard dive, but my locate comes in right around the middle of the road. It might be a little bit past that point. Anyway, that joint right there does appear to be allowing groundwater to seep in. It's also visibly separated. The way the water standing inside the line there is occurring kind of shows you that, especially being a line that's not really used at all. That staining there is from the pipe joints allowing groundwater to seep in. So anyway, much of that I am not going to be able to locate properly. I'll at least be able to locate the first portion of this. That is just a diving monster right there. Just a sheer downhill run. Stuff's moving through this thing like a rocket. In fact, a lot of the length my camera's gone out has been just vertically dropping. It's not as long as it really appears as the crow flies anyway. So right now we are sitting just a little bit past the street curb there. Getting around 4 foot 4 inches deep. So when you take into account that depth there and how much that thing dives, that main's down there a ways. You're probably pushing, I'm sure, at least 10 feet. From this point here, the line doesn't completely drop vertical the last 10 feet, but it's fairly close to it. I would say you're at minimum going to be around the 8 foot, 8.5 feet deep minimum, possibly closer to 10 plus feet. So anyway, I'm going to recommend the concrete pipe as it sits right now. Again, I've already kind of mentioned my 2 cents on this. Being that this pipe flows as nicely as it does, doing anything but a liner right now to me is just complete overkill and doesn't make sense. But I am going to recommend from about 31 feet to the main lateral be updated. And you can do all that however you want to. You could dig it up if you wanted, but the liner, especially in a case like this where this is pretty much all roadway and very deep, should be saving quite a lot of money. All right, the marking here, that one there just starts just behind. You know, I'll have to go back and review the video. My foot counter glitched out there. Could have swore we advanced out further than 10 feet. It might actually be more like 50 feet. I just can't remember if my foot counter glitched. Let's see if I can push back out here and reset the foot counter for coming back in. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll see here. Well, no luck there. I'll have to go back and review the first part of the video, the advance out there, to see if that's a longer section than 10 feet. As I run the camera through it, it feels longer than that. Anyway, all the concrete pipe there I recommend updating. Yeah, you're probably, it may very well be 10 feet. It's kind of a tricky one because of how much vertical fall there is to that. When you just eyeball it from here to the roadway, that feels like it's probably more like a 15-foot section or so. But I recommend that be updated. If it's not fixed now, I recommend rescoping periodically, just to watch for any progression or changes in the line. And I will notate the minor 1/4 inch or so offset here at the ABS to PVC transition. It's extremely minor. Joint's sealed up, and that lip on that thing is too small, and it's not in a position where it could affect functionality at all. If you pull back here and take a look at that, you've lost maybe a 1/4 inch of diameter there. Even if that little lip were in the flow line, it would have zero bearing on functionality. So that is not something I recommend to fix on. So as the line currently sits here, from the clean out to the main lateral, line has fantastic flow, superbly clean, and is functioning properly at this time as it relates to flow. Obviously, that last portion of the line there where the concrete pipe is not a 100% watertight section of pipe. So that's the reasoning right now why I'm recommending the update on it. Realistically, a lot of it is related to just not allowing the line to cause any hydro erosion issues to the line itself and or the surrounding ground, which includes the roadway. It also prevents the line from ever progressing to a point where you cannot do a liner on it anymore. If you let a line get to a point where it wears out too badly and ends up settling with big offset joints, things like that, you either can lose the ability to do a liner on it, and or you just don't get as good of a result out of it. So it's something, if it's not repaired now, I would keep in the back of your head and re-scope about every probably 2 years. I might do it at the 1 year mark right out of the gate, see if you notice any changes at all, and at that point you can probably push things out to every 2, and plan to update at some point. And first off, before you even start going down that road, contact the city and find out who's responsible in the roadway here. If that's all city responsibility there, it's obviously not something you're gonna have to worry about a whole lot.